Have you had a baby in the last 2 years and your body seems to be stuck, not progressing? Watch this.
Our next caller is Jennifer from Missouri.
Jennifer, how's it going? How can we help you?
Hi, I'm good.
Hi.
Wow, the men of Mind Pump. This is awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm a huge fan of your guys' show. I actually just found you within the last 6 months. And I've learned so much from you guys just in the short time I've been listening.
Thank you.
Totally entertained, obviously. And you're pretty much all that I listen to these days. In fact, I picked my 12-year-old son up from school last week, and he got in the car and I was listening to one of your shows and he goes, "Oh man, not these guys again." So, he'll come around though. What I'd like to do is I'll tell you my question and then I'll just give you a little bit of history to explain why this is my question, right? So I think that like the foundation really is about like determining the threshold for overtraining, which is a relatively new concept for me. But my question is it possible to overtrain or train in a high enough volume for an extended period of time that you can sort of become metabolically adapted to that training volume, to the extent that going forward, you may require a higher volume of training to get the same results that someone else might get at a lower volume?
Okay.
So the reason, go ahead.
No. Continue, because I have a thought, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the reason I wonder about this is because I feel like I've been in a plateau for different reasons for a long time. But I'm 42 years old. I started weightlifting when I was 33. I joined CrossFit, and I totally fell in love with it. Became a big time gym junkie. I was probably training about 2 hours a day for 4 to 5 days a week. And I did that up until 12 months ago. Now, 18 months ago, I had a baby, and I did CrossFit up until the week I delivered, and then I hopped right back into it postpartum. And what CrossFit did really well for me is it kept me lean and it kept me strong. But the plateau that I felt like I was in there is that I couldn't put muscle on like I wanted to. So 12 months ago, with the goal of putting on muscle and maybe, just not gaining body fat, right? I transitioned away from like my CrossFit style training and started following more of like a bodybuilding aesthetic type program. So I cut way back on my volume. I learned about overtraining for the first time. And as a result, I did cut back on my conditioning significantly. So I now, for the last 12 months, I train 4 days a week. I train for 75 to 90 minutes. I've also, in the last 12 months, joined NCI. And when I started learning more about nutrition, realized that I was way under eating. So I was at like 15 to 1600 calories forever. I reversed up to about 2200 calories. So that's where I was through this summer. I went into a strength cycle for my training program at 2200 calories and did also, like I was putting on muscle. I was making progress. I hit 220 on my back squat, which was a great PR for me. Hit 155 on my bench press, which was, I was real proud of that. So I knew I was like making strides, but then I've been in a hypertrophy cycle since August, and I feel like I'm like sliding backwards. So I'm gaining body fat. I feel like I'm losing strength. And I sent some pictures into you guys. I don't know if you have those, but I felt like it was at least a visual of the progression. So like pre-pregnancy and then during pregnancy, 6 months postpartum, I was in a bikini on the beach and like felt like I had like not quite gotten back down to where I was pre-pregnancy, but pretty close. And then my current pictures, I'm like the highest amount of body fat that I've ever been. So like I sent these into you guys, and then I was scrolling through them and I was like, dang, man, I'm like going from like badass to fat ass. I feel like moving in the wrong direction for the amount of training that I'm doing. So I just want to know, in your opinion, I trained CrossFit for so long in such high volume. Should I be adding more volume to what I'm doing? Do I just need to have more in my workouts than what I'm getting right now to get the results that I'm after?
Unlikely. So I'm going to disagree with you on a couple things. You're saying to fat. First of all, you're a badass.
I'm totally joking about that.
Okay,
I'm totally joking.
You're still a badass. And also, do you have some kind of a filter on your camera? Did you say you're over 40 and you have a 12-year-old?
I have a 12-year-old and I have an 18-month-old.
Oh, Jesus, man. Okay, so
I'm 42. Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever you're doing, you're kicking ass. But let's talk about your training, okay?
Okay.
I don't want with someone with your training experience and background. At some point, So progressive overload is very important for most people, but at some point it's not going to keep working, right? I've been working out for almost 3 decades.
It's not linear.
Yeah, I if that were true always, I would be doing 10-hour workouts 7 days a week in order to continue progressing. That's just not true. I mean, I just hit a lifetime PR a month or so ago at my age, right? So what you want to think of is not more. That works for a short period of time, like the first couple of years of training. After that, it's different. Think to yourself, different. You've been doing hypertrophy style, bodybuilding style training for a while now. Your body's not responding anymore because it's been the same training. We got to change it. You got to change it up. So I think you could go more, quote unquote functional. You could go to symmetry, MAP symmetry, which is unilateral training. You could do powerlifting. A powerlifting style training, which is different than what you're used to. You just got to do different. Don't think more at this point. Now think different.
Hey, MAP strong or performance? That's what comes to mind for me. I mean, that type of training. Also, you said you reverse dieted. After you reverse dieted, have you kept your calories at 2,200? Have you tried to cut for a little bit for a while? What have you done?
Yeah, like for the last month, I've gone down. I've tried to cut a little bit because I know what it feels like to not fit into pants because I've squatted too much. Like I know what that feels like. And now I know what it feels like to not fit into my clothes because I've gained too much around my abdomen. Right. Yeah. So I cut down, I'm at 1,850 to 2,000 right now. And I've lost a little bit, I've leaned out some, but I mean, I can't see my abs right now. And that's just kind of it's sort of a new experience for me because like I said, CrossFit always kept me really lean, but I was doing a lot of volume too.
You were doing a lot of volume and your calories were really low.
Yeah.
I also think that because it sounds like you kind of did a little bit of bodybuilding, but I would even, because you have a competitive mindset, because you probably have the discipline. And if I was coaching you, I would love to run like a bodybuilder for a while and try and tell you, don't worry so much about the body fat percentage right now. It'd be all about building your metabolism. My goal would be, can I get you up to 2,800 calories from, these continued reverse dieting, then small mini cuts, then back up to increasing calories. And the goal would be to get your metabolism all the way up there to put on as minimal body fat as we can during that process. And then actually put you in a cut and really try and lean you out until we have this kind of aesthetic goal that you're trying to achieve. And then go to this functional type training, MAPS performance, MAPS strong, that's kind of where I'd want to get your metabolism in an even better place because 2,200 is not bad, but it's also not amazing for the amount of activity and training volume that you're doing. Yeah. So you could be higher. It could be a lot higher.
And you know what? MAPS aesthetic would be fine because MAPS aesthetic is phased. So you're probably going to train in rep ranges that you haven't really been training in during this hypertrophy cycle. By the way, I'm going to go on a limb and just ask a couple questions that might be impactful, might mean nothing, but have you changed anything else during that period of time? You just had a baby. Did you go off birth control, back on birth control? Anything hormonally, sleep? Has anything else changed or has everything else been the same?
It's pretty much been the same. I'm not on birth control. So that's okay. Not something that I'm doing. And that's why I say I had a baby. I know that can impact hormones. I did really well. I felt with the strength cycle, the low rep ranges, the higher weight. I like heavy weight. So that worked pretty well for me. But that's, other than that, the training modality is different for me in the last 12 months. And other than that, nothing else is really much different.
And you're 18 months postpartum?
Yep.
Did you breastfeed?
I did for 2 months.
For about 2 months. And then when you stopped, did you notice a big difference in how you felt and all that stuff?
No.
Okay. So I've trained, God, I don't know, probably 30 women pre, during, and then postpartum. And there's a range of a year to 2 years when I would train. And these were some of them were very active and fit, others were beginners. But I noticed that almost all of them within a year or two postpartum is how long it would take them to feel oh, I'm back. My body's totally back. So that's something else to consider. Even though you seem to bounce back pretty damn fast, I'm wondering if just, another 6 months from now, you're oh, it feels like my old self and, things are, so that's something else to consider.
I think we've become metabolically adapted to the amount of like CrossFit type of volume with low calorie for so long, and then you go into a pregnancy and now you're kind of trying to do things the better, healthier way, and it's just kind of taking us a little bit of time right now. I don't think you're in a bad place. I think you're definitely hard on yourself. You probably have that kind of competitive mindset and you want to always be doing better. So I think have a little compassion and patience. I would be more focused on the metabolism side of this question.
What do you think? Reverse diet with MAPS Aesthetic?
How tall? Can I ask you how tall and how much you weigh right now?
Yeah, I'm 5'3". I'm like I'm around 128 to 130. I've lost a few pounds, cutting my calories back some, and I would love to get my calories up higher. And that was where I'm like, how long can I stay in a strength cycle to boost my metabolism and build muscle before I need to be back into hypertrophy or switching back into strength? I guess I don't know that either.
Oh, 3 to 6 weeks, but the reverse diet can go as long as you want. You'll interrupt it with periods of like maintenance, but you could stay in a reverse diet until you kind of hit your targets, because your calories still are kind of low, or they're lower than I would like them to be if you were my client. There's always an individual variance, but I think Adam hit the nail on the head. I'd want to see you at like 25 to 2,800 calories for the working out that you're doing, and then cut from there. Well, you're almost, so she's Melissa is 5'3". So Melissa's 5'3", and this is the last client I ever trained, and I trained her for bodybuilding. Or for women's physique. And when she hired me, she was at 1,900 calories. We ended up getting reverse dieting and training for about almost a year before I prepped her for her first show. I got her all the way up to 2,800 calories. When she got on stage and won, she was 2,200 calories. And that's shredded like unhealthy. And she's 5'3". Like, so very kind of similar weight, calorie range as you were. She also trained, she didn't do CrossFit, but she had trained a lot. And so I had to kind of scale back the intensity. So it became really before we prepped for the show, that's what I communicated to her. I said, listen, what we're focusing on right now, don't get too hung up on exactly how you look and stuff. I don't obviously want to put on a bunch of body fat, but my goal is to get your calories up really high and the goal was not a number. It was when she looked at me and said, Adam, I'm eating so much, I can't eat anymore. I go, great. We're at a place now where you're having a hard time keeping up with the calorie goal that I'm giving you. Now's a great place to naturally start to go back the other direction. Hopefully we land in a place that you are very comfortable eating and can maintain. So to me, and also keep in mind too, kind of what Sal was saying before earlier, that I mean, you look awesome and you've built a lot of good muscle and you've trained your ass off pretty hard for a while. Like you're starting to head towards the upper echelon of like muscle that you probably are naturally can build to your physique. Like at one point that really starts to slow down. Like he said earlier, like, yeah, your lifts are really, I mean, those are impressive lifts. Yeah. You're strong as shit. You look good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're in a pretty good place. I just think that the focus should be more metabolically, like that should be slow and steady. Yep. Slow and steady and get it up there. And a huge win for you and I, if you were a client, would be like in 6 months from now, we're eating and I don't really care what you look like as long as we didn't get way worse than where you're at right now. You don't keep putting on tons of body fat, but that you're eating a significant amount more calories and feeling good. And then going like, okay, now let's go for a little bit of a cut. Do you have MAPS Aesthetic, Jennifer?
No, I just got anabolic because I read through all your plans. I didn't know what to do. So I actually did my first anabolic workout this week. But I looked at aesthetic and there was one that I had considered. Would that be the best plan for me to go with?
But I wouldn't mind her running an anabolic. Yeah, since you haven't done it yet, why don't you run that and do the 3 foundational workouts a week, and then make sure to do all the trigger sessions on the off days, okay, with your level of experience. After that, go to MAPS Aesthetic. We'll send you MAPS Aesthetic. And my goal would be on the nutrition side is to be, keeping you in a calorie surplus for at least, 3 to 6 weeks at a time. And then what would make me go back the other way, and by the way, this will be challenging because we kind of mess with ourselves psychologically, like, really be do not allow just a little bit of water retention or a little bit of weight. Really keep pushing the calories until you're like, okay, I'm definitely starting to put on more than I like. Now I'm going to cut for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then go back to the increase again and kind of play that back and forth of a surplus and a deficit, but more often in a surplus, trying to build the metabolism up. Yeah.
Do I do any cardio with that? Do I do or am I like just following the programming? Because I'm fine with that. And really, I'm fine with adding some body fat. like mass moves mass. I know when I weigh more, I lift more.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that I'm not putting myself into like a rabbit hole that I have a hard time digging myself
Walks.
out of.
Yeah, I would do walks. Like 3 walks a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 15 minutes after each one. That's like 45 minutes of walking. If you like cardio and you want to do it for health, there's nothing wrong with doing a few sessions a week. But if you just like want to maximize what you're trying to do right now, I would just focus on steps throughout the day.
Typically what I do with someone like this, if you were already like running a certain amount in the week, I normally just replace that with walks. I just go like, okay, if you were going for 3 days a week or 4 days a week, you were going for a couple mile run or whatever. Say, okay, well now that time frame, just switch it to a walk, back off the intensity. That's what I don't want to do is, send this endurance signal while I'm also trying to speed your metabolism, because it's a conflicting message, right? Like if you're pushing endurance and intensity in cardio, right, while we're also trying to reverse diet, it's kind of conflicting. So I wouldn't necessarily want you to eliminate that if you were doing that frequently during the week. I would just want to exchange it from running an intense type of cardio to something that is more recuperative, like walking.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
I'll do that.
Well, thanks for calling in.
And Jennifer, I'm gonna have Doug throw you in the forum too. So I love to hear
thank you.
the process.
I would love that.
Yeah, and then just keep us updated every month or so. Check in with us, tag us in the forum, and let us know if you're having any challenges or what you're noticing and seeing, and then we can kind of help adjust as you go.
I will. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You guys, Jennifer. Yeah, I'm glad you said don't be so hard on yourself. I mean,
she looks awesome, and she's strong.
First of all, if she didn't say her age, I would have been like, you're 32. So whatever she's doing is working really well.
Yeah.
And she's got a baby at home. But no, that's great. That's great advice. And I'm glad we had someone ask a question like that, because it is true that your body will adapt to your current volume and more training will get you to move further. But it's only true to a certain point. At some point, it stops.
That's the trap, right? Is that you think you have to do that. And I really think what she's experiencing is that she went so hard and did so well at CrossFit for so long that this is just kind of her kind of going back. Now she's trying to get better, more balanced. And so it's going to take a little bit. It's not going to be as fast, So.